So we want to talk about privacy laws, especially here in the state of California. Now, for privacy laws, unlike regulatory compliance, you're going to get fines, you're going to get fees that Visa or MasterCard or Discover Card will maybe charge you. And today those fees and fines are getting very, very heavy, sometimes in the millions of dollars. So you want to make sure that you cover your PCI, your payment card industry requirements that these different cards require of you. But privacy is a little bit different. Privacy is not just a regulation, it's a law. And what that means is that if you don't meet that law, you are criminally liable for that. So if you're a C-level executive in your company, that means as the C-level executive, you are criminally liable for something that goes badly with somebody accessing privacy information within your company. If you're not the C-level person, then make sure that you're putting in the solutions to cover those liabilities that your C-level staff has. And so as we look across the board then, we see that we need to make sure that that connectivity is secured, that the VoIP is secured, that your IT is secured, that you've got cybersecurity in there, that you're addressing all your legal requirements and e-discovery. E-discovery is accessing that legal information in a way in which you can actually get it in a timely manner, but also in a secure manner. When we talk about security, cybersecurity, we generally talk about CIA, not the agency, but confidentiality, integrity, availability. What that means is you want to keep that data confidential. You don't want somebody else to get access to it that shouldn't have access to it. You want to make sure that the integrity is maintained. Nobody gets in and messes with that data and changes it. You also want to make sure that it's available to those who need to have access to it. And you want to make sure that those who shouldn't have access don't have availability to it. So part of this is e-discovery. It just means electronic discovery. What that means is that you want to make sure that you can get access to that data when you need it. And today, some of this data is very extensive and there's a lot of it, right? And it comes in a lot of different categories. So there's some technologies out there that help you with an e-discovery perspective. But you need to make sure that that's protected. Today, there are judgments that are going out against companies if you don't address those e-discovery requirements. Litigation mitigation is what it is. What that means is that you need to make sure that you can provide the data if a court asks for it, when you're asked for it, and the extent of what they've asked for. Now, sometimes companies can't do that because they haven't addressed this particular challenge, and judgments are made against them, very heavy penalties. Qualcomm, for example, was hit with over $20 million in penalties for not being able to produce the information that the court required them to produce. So you want to make sure then you got that connectivity covered, VoIP, IT, cybersecurity, the legal, e-discovery, regulatory compliance. And the last thing I want to talk about is in coming out of this, making sure that CSI, a cybersecurity integrator, covers your needs. What we do is we help you drive down the risk of getting an attack. And at the end of the day, you're probably still going to get attacked. Well, you're going to get attacked all the time. But at the end of the day, you're probably still going to get a breach. But if you've done all the steps you can to drive down that risk of that breach, you're demonstrating something called due care. That means you're taking the responsible steps to protect your company. What that also means then is that you've driven down the liability of your company of meeting the requirements for cybersecurity. Well, at the end of that, as you drive that risk down, it then makes a lot of sense you get to a point of diminishing returns. It then makes a lot of sense to transition that remaining risk through something called cyber insurance. And we can talk about that later.